When you don't know what to live for, that's a time to start distrusting your thoughts. And that may sound a little odd coming from a counselor, because I think the perception of a counselor is someone who's warm, empathetic, affirms you, validates you, listens. But that's not my approach when someone's feeling suicidal and isn't sure why they should live. In those moments, I encourage clients to exercise a healthy dose of distrust, of skepticism about how they think and how they feel in those moments. Essentially, relocating what is the locus of authority in your life from how I feel, and those feelings determine everything and what I do and whether I choose to continue to live or not, to maybe something else. Okay, so my name's Dr. Daniel Bates. I'm a counselor, and I work with folks who struggle choosing to live and stay alive. And so here's my approach, and here's my way of tackling this. And this isn't one size fits all. Every client I work with, they receive their own individual form of therapy that's specified and tailored and customized to who they are. But in general, there's a couple general themes that tend to come up when I'm working with folks who are struggling with this specific set of issues. And so, what I often say to folks is that feeling of I'm not sure if I'm worthy, I'm not sure if I have any value or self worth, I'm not sure why I should be here. What I say to them is, like I said, that's a good time to exercise a bit of skepticism and to doubt those thoughts. I saw a bumper sticker a long time ago, but it's always stuck with me. And I think it has the ring of truth, which is don't believe everything you think. Kind of like don't believe everything you read or don't believe everything you see in the news. Like that's just good wisdom that I've heard. That's like what you grew up with your mom telling you, right? And so that bumper sticker applied it to don't believe everything you think. Well, if you're struggling with suicidality or mental health, maybe there's some good wisdom there too that applies to these situations. What I say to folks is maybe this is the time to really lean into your network of friends and family, your support network. Maybe it's a support group, maybe it's a faith-based group, but it's kind of like I don't know if I fully have confidence and can trust my mind. And so maybe I need a hive mind, maybe I need a shared mind. Maybe I'm as strong as my team and my village, because individually I don't feel strong. Individually, I don't feel like I've got the strength within myself. And that's perfectly okay. That's perfectly okay for you not to be strong enough, for you not to see the reasons to live. Maybe you don't see it, but that doesn't mean they're not there. And that's really what I want to communicate to folks is just because you don't see it, you don't feel it, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So folks will say, I have low self-worth. Okay. Doesn't mean you in fact have low self-worth or you have no worth. Maybe you do. You just can't see it because you're blind to it. Well, I don't see any reason to live. Maybe there's like 1,000,001 reasons to live that are totally fulfilling, totally satisfying, but you just don't see it because you're blind to it. I don't know why you're blind to it, speaking generally, maybe with that specific client I do. But let's just say for you out there watching this video, I don't know why you can't see it, but it doesn't mean it isn't there. And I think it might actually be there, but you don't see it. But maybe you need to borrow someone else's perspective. Maybe you don't have hope for living, but you can borrow someone else's hope. Maybe you don't see a reason for living, but you can borrow someone else's reason for living. Maybe you don't see value in yourself, but you can borrow the value that others see in you. Just long enough to the point that it becomes your own belief, your own self-worth, your own value. So again, that's what I suggest to folks. Now, is this like the silver bullet that fixes all the problems? no matter what, it's going to be a long journey of overcoming suicidal thoughts and struggling with low self worth. It's going to be a long journey where the problems never really go away. You just become stronger and more resilient and more empowered to overcome those issues. And you find the strength within yourself, within your mission, your purpose, your calling. You figure things out. It gets worked out. But you're going to need some folks who will go the distance with you and see you through the storm. So, I just had a session with a client and I said, this is not permanent the way you're feeling. Other people have felt this way too. It's normal to feel this way. And sometimes my next statement might shock clients, but you're not special or unique. I think sometimes folks think that I'm so special, I'm so unique, I'm beyond my problems being solved. This, maybe that's true for somebody else that they feel similar to me and their problems get figured out, but they're like the normal people. I'm the special type of person who I have a uniquely unfixable problem. And I just kind of mow that down immediately and go head on with the client or, whoever I'm working with and say, nope, sorry. You look and sound and act like a lot like hundreds of other clients I've sat across from. And they've said the same thing to me. And many of them are able to overcome and work through this and find purpose and meaning and a desire to live and mental well-being. They find it, they can do it, and so can you. So you're not so special that you're beyond help. You're not so special that you're beyond humbly recognizing the problems, admitting that they're too much for you and that you need a group of people. You need your team to get through it. You need your village. So I think we all need a village. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's depression, anxiety, suicidality, addiction, whatever it is. We all need to belong to a group, and the group can sustain and support us when we can't sustain and support ourselves. So I think that's the big thrust of what I want to communicate to you today is it's okay that you can't sustain and support yourself. I don't think you're designed to. I think you're meant to be sustained and supported by others, and for you to return the favor, to sustain and support them as well. It's a reciprocal ebb and flow mutuality between you and your tribe, you and your group, you and your family, you and your network of friends and your support group. It's a give and take. And that's what you were meant to do. That's how your mental health was designed to function. Being, out on an island by yourself, not needing any support, of course you're depressed. Of course you don't see a reason to live and there's low self-worth. You discover those things through community and through connections. So I guess the main takeaway is the next time you start feeling low self-worth and like there's no reason to live and you're hopeless and everything seems bleak, please introduce a very healthy dose of skepticism and doubt to those thoughts and start testing them through your community. And go to folks in your community and say, this is what I'm thinking and feeling. Is that your perspective? Do you think the same way? Or are there things that I'm blind to, that I'm missing, and that you see that might be true independent of my own perception? And how can I borrow that to sustain me through this darkness so that I can eventually internalize those positive, life-giving perspectives and feelings and attitudes that it then becomes my own. That becomes my own voice, and it can sustain me, myself. And then it can be a gift I give to others, where I sustain others. So let that marinate and let that soak in. And even if you have a little bit of resistance to what I'm saying or skepticism, just be open to it and think about it for a bit. And I think sometimes we have some natural individualistic tendencies, especially in our culture. And so there might be some resistance to seeking out help and support and allowing others to invest in us and speak into us, and especially in those dark moments. But Just sit with it. See how it see if it starts to shift anything for you internally. All right. Thanks for listening.